Everybody is talking about upcoming Ukrainian counteroffensive, where it will be and when it will be. So where we will strike back at Russians this spring or maybe summer, who knows. Let's look at the map, and maybe geography will dictate or give us clue about what is going to happen and when we can expect this counteroffensive to be. Short disclaimer, I'm nobody, I'm not in the Ukrainian armed forces, I'm just, like the name of my channel suggests, I'm just some Ukrainian guy, armchair general, if you please. This is only my opinion, and this opinion was formed listening to other people and trying to figure out if what they're saying is true, is making sense or not. Let's divide the current front line that we have right now into 3 sectors, and then look at each sector separately and try to figure out if it makes sense to make counteroffensive in this sector, or maybe it is better to do it somewhere else and achieve more decisive results. So these 3 sectors are, and we'll start from north and then go down to south. First sector will be from border of Russia to Severodonetsk, and you have Svatovo here, so let's call it Svatovo sector. Second one will be from Severodonetsk to Marinka. Let's call it Donetsk sector. And we have Bachmut here, we have Avdiivka here, and then the last sector will be from Marinka to Dnieper River. Let's call it Zaporizhye sector, and we have Vuhledar here in this sector, which was also hot during this winter. But you have to include in this sector this riverbank of Dnieper, because, well, you can defend it with less people, but you still have to have people there to prevent us from crossing at will and do what we please. As for how many kilometers each sector is, the northern one, the Svatovo sector, is about 100 kilometers. And it is on a straight line. We are not taking into account all the curves and anything. The second one, the Donetsk, from Severodonetsk to Marinka, it's about 120 on a straight line, but actually it is more because of all these, curvatures that we have here. And the last one, from Marinka to Dnieper River, which is Zaporizhye sector, let's call it like this. It is on a straight line about 160 kilometers, but if we add the Dnieper here, the banks of the Dnieper that should also be defended, it is about 250 kilometers more on a straight line. So all in all, you have about 400 kilometers in this sector. First, let's look at this, the northern sector, the Svatovo sector. What will be achieved if we concentrate all these forces, all the resources that we were collecting for this counter-offensive and strike at this sector? For example, we break through somewhere here, for example, go to Svatovo, take Svatovo, then go to Starobelsk, then probably maybe encircle Rubizhne, Lysychansk and Severodonetsk. So, for example, we liberate all this, then we have to pivot to Lugansk. And have a look here. You see this is a deeper red area. This is the area that was occupied before the full-scale invasion. And this line here was the previous front line, before this full-scale invasion. And it was reinforced for 8 years. So we just, for example, we take everything here, we come and we then face this line, which was quite formidable. So what we achieved? We liberated a big part of land, but strategically, will it be decisive for this war? No, it won't. Also, we expended all the resources that we have collected for several months, and we have, because of this stupid rule that we cannot strike Russians on their own territory, we then have to defend this border, and instead of 100 kilometers of front, we will have roughly 350 kilometers of front. So we overstretched ourselves, we expended all the resources, and we achieved nothing of great significance, nothing decisive. They just withdrew to this area, and well, we have to think how to take them out of here. Now let's have a look at this Donetsk sector. We have Bachmut here, Avdiivka here, and we have quite a lot of concentration of forces here and there. Also, you can see this line. It is the old front line that was for 8 years there. So even if we crush this group of Russian forces here, they have a fallback line, they can go there. And in this area, in Avdiivka, the fighting is more or less in the same area that was for 9 years. They have to run not too far to their old fortifications. And this region is a big urban agglomeration. All these forces can be easily supplied and reinforced. Let's have a look at the railroad network. We know that Russians are dependent very much on railroads for the supply of their forces. This is Ukrainian railroad network. And we are interested in this sector. This is Donetsk region. You can see Artemyevsk here. This is the old Soviet name for Bachmut. Sorry, it is not a good resolution, but you can see that the railroad network is really extensive. The Russian forces here can be supplied very easily, and you have 5 lines going from Russia here. So to attack directly here is just stupid. Let Russian do this thing of theirs, trying to crash with their heads through the walls. That's not our way. I don't think that we should do that. We don't have enough equipment, forces, and resources to try to attack this thing head on and take this agglomeration, this fortification. So I don't think that we need to do that. And even if we take this, it will have effect. It will. I'm not sure if it will be decisive, but it will have some effect. But it will be extremely difficult, and I don't think that it is the best use of our resources. Again, our general staff may consider otherwise. They are not informing me about their intentions, and they should not. They should just do their job and to win this war. And now, at last, let's talk about my favorite area, this Zaporizhye area. We have, for example, Vuhledar here, but you can see right away that the area is much bigger. It is for 45,000, almost 45.5 thousand square kilometers. If you just compare it to Donetsk, it is 17, roughly 17, and if you take this area, so it is 19, less than 20. So it is almost 2.5 times bigger. And this one is 17,000. So this is much bigger area. There is bigger front to defend. To defend this area, you will need more forces than this area, for example. And you have to supply all of them. And we saw the situation with the supply in this area, in the Donetsk area, and how extensive the railroad network is there. But have a look here. These white lines are railroads. The yellow lines, or more like orange lines, are just the roads for the trucks, for cars, for automobiles. You can see that there are some railroads, but actually all of them are going through this one. Through this Kerch bridge, and this there is a ferry here. So to the ferry and to the bridge. So everything that is supplied here, all of this Crimea plus this area, have to go through this bottleneck. There was other line that went from Volnovakha to Dolia, and if you have a look. So Volnovakha, and then you can see that, this line, this is the railroad. But because Volnovakha was in our Ukrainian hands, and the other end, Dolia, was in Russian hands, or separatist hands, whatever you call them, this railroad was cut. It was not functioning, and it was partially dismantled. But even if and probably they did renew it, so there is now a railroad here that goes from Donetsk, you can see that it is quite close to, you see, this is the railroad line here. This is the front line. It can be attacked. Let's have a look how far away this is. So from here to here is 6.5 kilometers, or from here to, wait a second. So from here to here is less than 5 kilometers. So even the mortars, 120 millimeter mortars, can strike this. This one is vulnerable, and one of the reasons that Russians were trying to take Vuhledar is to push our forces further from this railroad. I think that they repaired this railroad and it is functioning, but it is vulnerable. So all these forces are relying on this Kerch bridge and Kerch ferry for their supply. And they will go through Jankoy, they will go through Novoalexeyevka, and they will go through Armyansk to supply forces that are, on the riverbank. What they have here, they have quite a lot of area to defend, and we can strike anywhere. We can even strike from, we can repair the bridges and strike from there. And Russians understand that. There is a map of Russian fortification. It is done by some volunteers. And you can see that here, one line of fortifications, then second line, then around Tokmak there is a separate line of fortifications. Then there is a big trench going from north to south to Melitopol, and I think it should defend this road in case that our forces take Tokmak and go to Melitopol, so that it is not cut. These forces have the safe line of retreat, or maybe they can form new line around these fortifications. I don't know what they plan, but you can see here also the Russian fortifications along this road. This is like a block post, like a blocking fortifications along this road. In case we just cross in Kakhovka, in New Kakhovka, in this dam, and then try to force ourselves to Melitopol from this part. It will not be easy for us, but again, all these fortifications, they mean something if you have enough people to man them. If they are just holes in the ground with nobody to defend, they don't matter. And to have it all manned, you have to supply them. And you can supply only through this Kerch bridge and Kerch ferry. That's the only way. You can try to go to do it through Volnovakha or through land roads from Taganrog to Mariupol and then by land roads, but it is less effective. It can be done, but it is less effective, and we know that Russians are very much dependent on railroads, and there is no railroad from Taganrog to Mariupol. There is a railroad to Volnovakha from Donetsk, roughly, but it is too close to frontline. It can be hit there. Also, we are constantly hitting with drones and with some other things, Jankoy and Armyansk. This is two railroad stations through which quite a lot of resources are going. If we strike at Melitopol or somewhere else, just to split this area, Russian forces, just to take out this so-called land bridge to Crimea, which is not actually functioning right now. I don't think that they're pushing quite a lot of resources through this so-called land bridge right now. But still, if we split the Russian forces in two parts, if we go to Melitopol and then Genichinsk, they will have to evacuate everything from here because it will be extremely vulnerable. And when they evacuate it from here, we then can at leisure repair these bridges and push some more reinforcements through there. If we are on this area roughly, then we can just pound everything, every military installation, everything, all the military targets. It won't be as it was during the 8 years that we could not do anything, we could not shell them, we could not strike them. No, we will be striking them, and it will be Kherson all over again, because the first thing that we'll do, we will drop this bridge and we will destroy this ferry. This is the first thing. Then we isolate Crimea, and then the Russians will just flee themselves. It will be again the strategic retreat or gesture of goodwill they will do it themselves. And when they lost Crimea, then the war is lost for them. So if we achieve success here, will it be decisive? Yes, I think so. It is the most vulnerable and the most decisive part. If Russia loses Crimea and if we are successful here, it is just a matter of time when Russians lose Crimea. After the loss of Crimea, it will be really a big political blow to Russian government, because they are imperialists. When they annexed Crimea, the black hearts of Russians were rejoicing, because we are building our empire again, we are taking back our lands, we are expanding, Russia empire is on the rise again, we will take everything that was taken from us by the West and by everybody else, everybody who is against us for no reason at all. But when they lose it, it will be a big blow to Russia. So this is the most decisive area for this war. So to conclude, this is the most promising direction of our counter-offensive. It is the most difficult to defend for the enemy. And if we successful here, the payoff will be the biggest. So the first stage is to cut this land bridge, to go to the Crimea border, then to pummel everything here, and then to let them retreat themselves. I think the idea is to make this a Kherson all over again, but on a bigger scale. And after they lost Crimea, they lost the war, and it will be a big political blow to Putin and to his government. So thank you for watching, and goodbye till next time.